Welcome to another edition of the 24th Floor. I'm Richard Denson.
And of course, my name is Ruben Diaz. We're going to start things off a little different today, though.
Yeah, we talk a lot about big moments in sports, but sometimes the biggest impact happens away from the spotlight.
Yeah, in fact, for 30 years, one ride has been crossing the country, not for competition, but rather to help change lives.
And we're talking about the Cal Petty Charity Ride Across America. It's a journey that's raised more than $23 million to help kids facing serious medical conditions. And this year, that ride covers more than 3,400 miles across 11 states, including a stop right here in Memphis.
So we could talk about it, but why not have the man himself talk about it? Instead of us running our mouths, let's talk to Mr. Kyle Petty himself, NASCAR royalty, if you will. Kyle, we appreciate you taking the time for being with us today.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad that you're not talking about all the stuff we were talking about off air before we came on here, because that makes me feel old, man.
Yeah. So, Cal, 30 years into this, if you want to feel old, that is how long I've been alive. It's 30 years. What still drives you to keep doing it?
You know, we started this thing because there were a few of us that really wanted to ride bikes from California to North Carolina, ride motorcycles. And we told people we were going to do it, and they said, "You are crazy." And we said, "Oh, no, we're going to do it for charity." And they said, "That's the greatest idea we've ever heard." So that's what we did. And, the first year we stopped, we gave a donation to a firefighter who had been injured in a fire in Huntington Beach. We helped a family in Phoenix buy a handicap accessible van. We just did different things, stopped at a couple of children's hospitals, and that kind of resonated, the children's hospitals. So we did that for a number of years. And then my oldest son, Adam, was killed in a racing accident in 2000, and I had driven some sports car races with Paul Newman, so we built a camp for children with serious medical needs and chronic medical needs in North Carolina, part of Paul's Serious Fun group of camps. And we've seen over 150,000 kids through the camp and through our REACH program, totally free of charge. That's why we raise money. So that's why we ride. We ride to raise money to send kids to camp. We've raised over $23 million in the previous 29 years that we've done this thing. So we're going to keep riding as long as there's kids with craniofacial, with Crohn's, gastrointestinal, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, with illnesses that they will have their entire lives. We're going to ride motorcycles and raise money.
So we talk about money a lot. 23 million is a lot. But think about how many kids that actually impacts, right? So $23 million is one number, but the amount of kids that you guys are helping has got to be, I know you guys got to feel great about what you're doing. Yeah,
it's crazy. And I told somebody earlier today, and I say this all the time, we lost one child in Adam, one son. But I feel like I have 150,000 other kids that are part of my family, because when I go to camp and I see these kids and they have that smile on their face, it's that Adam Petty smile, and I know he's still there with us. So, it does. It makes you feel good. But I'm telling you what, man, it is I tell people all the time, you walk in the gate and you pat yourself on the back, and it's like, oh, look what I'm doing for these kids. And then you hang out with them and it's like, oh my gosh, look what they do for me. Look how they make me feel. Look what they do for me. They're such special kids, such special individuals. It's a collective group of us that do this and ride and do all this stuff. But it's amazing how it does make you feel when you roll into camp and see everybody.
What would you say that's what keeps people coming back, is the positive attitude and just so much of the good cause?
Yeah. Listen, it is. It definitely is. We've got people that have been on this ride 30 years. We've got people that have been on this ride 25 years. Half the riders have been on 15 or more years. We've got a lot of new riders this year. We opened it up for new riders in our 30th year. So hopefully these people will stay another 15 or 20 years. But that is what keeps them coming back. They become a family. The camp kids become a family. It's like helping. It's like we grew up in rural North Carolina, small community. And you help your neighbors. You help your neighbors get up hay. You help your neighbors when they're in need. You help your neighbors babysit their kids or whatever you need to do, dog sit. It doesn't make any difference. And that's kind of the way the ride is. It's become a group of friends that are tight like family that just want to help their neighbors.
How many riders are we actually talking about? And do you guys know where you're going to stop when you get to Memphis? That sounds like a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. There's 150 of us. We limit it. We opened it up this year to 150 bikes. Most of the time we're 125. It's like herding cats. I will say that. You never know where everybody's going. You're doing this. We've got We've got 6 or 8 motor marshals that travel with us. We have 2 full-time doctors, 2 full-time nurses that are with us. We have 6 paramedics that go with us all the time. We have, we have a support group, all different groups that go with us. So there's probably 30 or 40, 50 people that go with us just to keep us moving along. We're staying at the guest house at Graceland, and we're so excited, man. We are pumped. We're having dinner in the car museum, in Elvis's car museum. My dad is so looking forward to this. I can't even tell you how excited my dad is. We're going to take a tour of Graceland and then go across to the museum, and we are. We've been through Graceland. We've been through Memphis, I think, once or twice before, but this is our second trip, and it's been almost 25, 26 years since we came through. So we are pumped to come there and go through Graceland.
Well, you know, he kind of buried the lead when he talked about his dad there. His dad, like Ruben said at the beginning, NASCAR royalty right there with Richard Petty. Yep. And now I gotta tell the people, Kyle, a little bit what we talked about when we went on the air. So a fun fact, a little small world between the Petty family and myself. So my dad used to work for this company called Georgia Pacific, who used to sponsor Kyle when he was racing. And when I was a kid, my dad took me to Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Kyle was getting ready for his race. And so his dad, you know, and a lot of the big wig guys, they were like kind of having fun up in the press box. So my dad took me up into the press box where it was a bunch of food and everything. And I remember meeting Kyle's dad, Richard. He signed my Georgia Pacific hat, and he patted me on the head, and he gave me a hug. And it's just like, he was so cool with the hat and the shades and everything.
It's cool in general, though.
Yeah, and it was, you know, we went down and we said hello to Kyle. He was getting ready for his race and everything. And it was just such a fun time. And just all these years later, it's something that I remember. And so that's a big reason why I kind of wanted to have Kyle on the show as well, to kind of share that story.
Yeah, listen, that is. And that's my dad. That's my dad. No matter where he goes, you know, it's so funny. And I will tell you this. And you met him when you were a kid. He's the only guy I know he's 88 years old. He'll be 89 this year. And because of the Cars movie, he was Mr. the King in the Cars movie. He's the only guy I know that's 88 years old that has fans that are 6 to 96 years old. He spans the century just about when you start looking at it. And here's the little fun fact too. If you go back and watch the Elvis movie Speedway, my dad was in the Elvis movie Speedway with the King. So that's the King in the same movie, Speedway, with Elvis Presley. So that's what my dad said. He said, I am so excited. He said, I met Elvis. I was in the movie with him, did all this stuff. But he said, never had a chance to go to Graceland. So this is his first shot.
Seems like a lot of Memphis connection here. So when this ride comes through Memphis, Kyle, what do you want people here to take away from it?
So obviously part of what we do is spread what we call the gospel of Victory Junction. If you know a child that can benefit from this camp, go to victoryjunction.org. And if you know a child, we will get them there. We've seen tons of kids from St. Jude's. What a great institution that is, that come to camp and then go back to the hospital. But it is amazing how these two institutions can do. We don't heal people. St. Jude's heals. We just empower kids to be kids. For a week at camp, they get to do the ropes course and do things like that. So we spread the gospel of that. So anywhere we are, when we roll in, we want fans to come out. My dad will be with us, Richard Petty. I think at that point in time, Clint Boyer, who works with Fox, he'll still be with us. Matt Kenseth will probably be with us. Kenny Wallace, Kenny Schrader, David Reagan, Bill Davidson from great-great-grandson of the founders of Harley-Davidson, Rutledge Wood from Top Gear fame. So we got a few celebrities, but if you want to come out and talk racing instead of music, because that's what Memphis is, music and barbecue. If you want to talk racing, come out and see us.
Funny that, you know, we're talking about that you just name dropped a lot of people that are big in the business, right? And when I was covering sports in Tulsa, I actually went down to Texas Motor Speedway to cover a NASCAR race. And we did a little behind the scenes where we went in one of y'all's trailers and we're playing video games and stuff before the game. And so I ended up getting a program with Kyle's signature, Kurt Busch. I mean, we had a bunch of just dudes on there, right? And I wasn't really a NASCAR watcher at the time. Yeah. But it kind of really turned it. And I got to see kind of behind the scenes of how you guys get to be before the race, which I thought was super interesting, right? Yeah. That you get to just kind of be guys before you have to jump in the car. And so it's so fun to see the side of you.
Yeah. But listen, that's all we do. And I tell people this all the time. I drove a race car for a living, which means I spent my entire life riding around in circles. That's all I did. That's all. I didn't cure anything. I didn't change the world. I just entertained for a week riding around in circles, and that's kind of the way it is. But it's a great group of people. The people that drive race cars, the people that work in motorsports, is just an incredible group of people. No matter where you go, man. Ricky Stenhouse is from your area there. What a great guy Ricky is. You know what I mean? And he just what's the name of that? He grew up in that dirt track there in is it West Memphis? The Pit or something like, I can't remember what they called that dirt track, but he grew up racing there. But there is race people just are caring, giving people and want to give back. And that's what's good. That's why when you raise your hand, you say we're going to do something like this, so many people show up.
Kyle, last question before we got to get you out of here is why should people make it a point to come out on May 6th?
So, you know what? I tell people this. If you want to have a smile on your face and know that you're doing good and helping your fellow man and helping a child somewhere, come out and say hello. That's all we ask. You know, and the bonus is you get to meet Richard Petty. The bonus is you get to meet Matt Kenseth or Clint Boyer. But at the end of the day, you know, this is all about helping other people. And that's what the charity ride is all about. Yeah, we're riding motorcycles and we're doing this and we're doing that, whatever it may be. But we're doing it to draw attention to these children and how they feel and how their needs are and what their needs are. So if we can do that, man, we'll keep doing this for years and years. And I'm sure we'll come back through Memphis again.
I know we're going to let you go, but I got to ask you real quick. How do people it's a charity ride. How do people donate? Yeah. How do they give if they see this and say, man, I want to get involved with that?
Yeah, go to KylePettyCharityRide.com or go to Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, KP Charity Ride or Kyle Petty Charity Ride. And there's links to donate. Every dime that we take in goes straight to send kids to camp. Once we pay all our bills, every dime goes to send kids to camp. And like I said, man, we've sent a lot of kids through camp. We continue to, and hopefully we'll be talking again, but the next time we talk, hopefully those numbers have gone up another 20, 25,000 people.
All right.
Yes, sir. We're looking forward to it. The Kyle Petty Charity Ride coming to Memphis May 6th. Kyle, we appreciate your time. This is almost like a bucket list thing I didn't check off. I know it'll make my dad happy when I send it to him. Thank you so much, Kyle, for your time.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it. See you up there.
Absolutely. Right, absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a special guest in the studio.
I was shocked when this person walked through the door. It takes a lot to shock me.
We'll tell you about it when we come back. Welcome back to the 24th floor. We told you we were switching it up, and we meant it. No Zoom. We've got our guy in the studio.
Yeah, I mean, do I look as good in person as I do on the Zoom is my question.
I'm stunned to be here.
As I thought you might be. Our man is in the building.
Yeah, he's the host of the Locked On Ole Miss show, which you can catch right here on the 24 Plus app, YouTube, and anywhere you get your podcast. Welcome to the program live and in living color, Mr. Stephen Willis. You know I would do a handshake, but I got to do a clap.
That's what I was wondering about. Would I get the clap today?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, yes, you did. We're going to rephrase that next time. Yes, you get a clap today.
Basically, Ruben just said pause.
Stephen, so much to talk about in Oxford. Where do we start, Rich? Where do you want to start?
Well, spring ball just wrapped up. What's the biggest thing you've learned about this team?
I think it's an Ole Miss football team that's going to be very talented. In my opinion, you have the top quarterback in college football,
Agreed.
You have the top running back in college football, and you have the top kicker in college football.
Carniero.
Man.
Yeah.
What a name.
Unbelievable, and so much talent all around. You'll see that when the NFL draft comes out when there's not really any Ole Miss players in the second and third round because they're all back at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a talented team. So Pete Golding is going to have the job of keeping the Ferrari on the road.
Yeah.
That's what he has to do this year.
Sometimes that's harder, though, isn't it?
No, that's not an easy thing to do. But if you can do it, they're going to be pretty good. The schedule this year is a lot more difficult, but the roster on this team probably a little bit more talented than it was in 2025. Now, you replace a guy like Deshaun Stribling, who was just a man in the playoff run with Jonte Cook, who has all the talent in the world transferring in, but it has to mesh. There are some questions. It's not a done deal, but the optimism is high in Oxford, Mississippi right now.
What would be something that concerns you right now? Because it seems like if we talk about optimism and being on the high, we got to bring it back down. What's some concerns?
There's 3 players going after 2 tackle positions.
Okay.
And that's not going to be settled until the fall. Now, Tommy Kinsler transferred from Miami. Really good player. I talked to the Florida football scout that he said he was shocked that Mario Cristobal let him walk.
Yeah.
You have Carius Kern, who was a top 50-ish player at LSU, transferred in. And then you have Therese Davis, who transferred from the University of Maryland. Mm-hmm. And 3 transfers coming in, you have to find 2 slots, but you're not exactly who they are at this point. And listen, last year Ole Miss didn't have the best of offensive line. Trinidad fixed a lot of problems for Ole Miss last year. So if this offensive line can gel and be really good moving forward, they have a chance to be really, really good, but that's a question mark at this point. You have to do it. You have to see it.
Well, so it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is, doesn't matter how good your running back is. It really, ultimately, if you ask any real football coach or real football fan, it's your line. Mm-hmm. However good your line is how good your team is. And so when that's the first place you went on possible, here's what we got to keep our eye on, tells me that, that if that gets sewed up, then Ole Miss can make a real run again. But you still have that problem of keeping the Ferrari on the road with the expectations that everybody's going to have for this team now. That's not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you look at them, I think Texas and Ole Miss are the 2 most talented teams in the Southeastern Conference. The Texas Ole Miss game is going to be
UGA's not in there?
I think they're good, but
did they lose a lot?
It's they're great, but unless they find a pass rush, they're going to have the same problem.
Because they're playing Elton on the O-line instead of D-line.
Yeah, but they're going to be good. They're going to be a playoff level team, but I just don't think they're in the top 2 at the moment. I think Texas is going to be really good, and then you have Ole Miss, and whenever they play each other, you have the fact that a Manning playing Ole Miss, that's always a big deal. A talented Ole Miss team going to Austin, Texas, all of the stuff going on. I think that's going to be one of the storyline games of the year. Of course, the LSU game is going to be.
I was just about to say.
We're going to talk about that. But the game of the year, like the LSU-Bama game or what Florida and Tennessee used to be, in my opinion, is going to be Texas and Ole Miss this year.
So I have to say, if they win 10 again, is that enough anymore coming off of last season? Or now is it?
You're talking about for the fan base.
Yeah. Is that enough?
No,
just 10 wins.
That absolutely is enough at this point. Now, you have to remember.
People get spoiled. They
get spoiled, but they don't get spoiled that quick. It wasn't too long ago that an 8-4 season, it was like, hey, let's fire up a parade. We had a great year. So winning 10 games a year, that's a really big deal. And I just don't see anything imminent that is going to take that away.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the schedule, you mentioned the schedule, and I think that's interesting because anymore it doesn't necessarily benefit you to have the toughest schedule. If you're trying to, because you can get that one loss that keeps you out, even though you're playing in the toughest conference in the country. So that schedule, I think, what are some of we mentioned, some of the Texas game, but for us, that LSU game has.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got to have that one circled.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely.
Lane doing.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts. I mean, game day is going to be in Oxford that day. It's going to be an absolute circus, and everybody knows how huge it is. But the next week, Ole Miss has to go to Florida. You're coming off of that circus to Florida. That's tough.
That's tough.
You play Auburn on October 31st. That's in between Texas and Georgia. So there are a couple of landmines on the schedule for Ole Miss. Then there's the game to play Vanderbilt in Nashville. I mean, people might roll their eyes whenever they hear that, but right now I don't think you should do that.
No.
They've got it rolling up on West End at the moment. But this Ole Miss team is good enough to handle this schedule. This isn't like you would much rather be where Ole Miss is than where, say, Arkansas or Mississippi State, and
Nobody
those guys
wants to be where
aren't going
Arkansas
into
is
it.
right
I knew Ruben was going to make a face about Arkansas. I knew it.
Yeah, you would rather be where Ole Miss is than where they are at the moment, but the 9-game schedule is not going to be an easy thing.
So I want to kind of build a bridge between sports and Ole Miss. Of course, Lane Kiffin takes a lot of pot shots.
Did you call him lame or lane?
I mean, either or it works. What he's doing on Twitter is lame. He took pot shots at Ole Miss again after losing in baseball. And so let's kind of like transition to other Ole Miss sports. Let's talk baseball because that's kind of what's going on right now. As we record this, Ole Miss is 30-12, one of the top teams in all of college baseball. What would you kind of talk about them? What do we need to know? What's the real story of this season?
The pitching staff on this baseball team is unreal. It's so good. And that is what carried this baseball team until the hitting came along. They were 3-outcome hitting for much of the season to where it was either home run, walk, or strikeout.
That's it.
That's how they scored the run. They started hitting extra base hits, starting hitting singles, started actually playing baseball. Turned out they were a pretty good team. And now they've won 3 straight series, including at Florida and at Tennessee, which that's the first time.
Yeah,
that's the first time they've won on Rocky Top since like 2018 or something like that. And then you had the sweep against LSU. Well, LSU. And you have Arkansas A&M, Georgia this weekend in Oxford. That's going to be a massive series because they're leading the league, and you close out at Alabama. If Ole Miss wins 6 of their last 12-ish games, if they just go 6-6, they're going to go 16-14 and host a regional, which at Ole Miss, that's the minimum acceptable standard.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, the question there becomes if you can do a little bit better than that. Let's say Ole Miss gets 2 or 3 from Georgia this weekend and moves up, national seed conversation starts to come into focus. And if that happens, this Ole Miss team could be really good and hit all their goals, honestly.
So you're saying they're good, but they really haven't reached they're really not exceeding expectations when it comes to Ole Miss.
No, they haven't hit their ceiling because their pitching staff is so good. Their Saturday starter is probably a top 10 Major League draft pick. Going. That's on Saturday. That's not their ace.
I was gonna say,
and then on Sunday, Taylor Rave on Sunday throws 98 miles an hour. I mean, they can
fireballer.
They can bring it. So as long as the offense continues to stay hot, which against Murray State they put up 19 runs in midweek this week. If they can keep their offense hot, they're going to be a problem against all 4 of the teams on their schedule once they get to Hoover.
Can this team make it to the College World Series?
Can they? Yes. Will they? I'm not sure because of the first part of the season, what the offense did. If you have a bad couple of offense games or it dips, is there enough there, and is your pitching good enough to sustain that? It'll be interesting because last year you thought Ole Miss was going to make it to a super regional, and Murray State beat them. And that was that series. So weird things can happen in baseball, but they have the talent to do it. But the question is the ups and downs of baseball at this point.
All right, let's switch from baseball now to my favorite sport.
I was just about to
basketball.
say, I know you want to get into it.
I'm trying to get into hoop. We'll save Coach Joe for the back end of this. What's the transfer portal look? Because it's closed now, right? Closed 21st?
Yeah, I think the window's closed.
Yes, the window is closed now. So everybody who's getting in has got to be in by now, outside of like coaching changes and stuff happening. So who is Ole Miss targeting that's going to make a difference?
I'm not 100% sure.
It's a wild.
I went to the TUI Center this week and kind of hung out and tried to do everything. And the men's side, it was real cagey. They were working. I'm not going to say panic working, but they knew a 15-20 season couldn't happen again. I'll put it like that. So when you look at that, I like what they've gotten. The kid out of Pitt. Roman's his first name is Siapula.
I'm not even going to attempt.
Is he European?
He's from Australia.
Oh.
And he's a former rugby player, but he started every game for Pitt.
So he'll be a physical at least.
Yeah, and he is an offensive rebounding specialist. Okay. And as we've talked about the show, rebounding has been a constant on this team going forward, and Beard appears to be attacking weaknesses and trying to find complementary pieces to go with Patton Pinkins and with Ilias Kamerdine, as opposed and like moving Ilias Kamerdine off ball to where he'll be a 2. He went out and got a point guard from Seton Hall. I think that's the plan. He likes what he has with Ilias, and at the end of the year, he was pretty good.
I think that's a good plan as opposed to cleaning the slate and starting all over.
Yeah, and then Patton Pinkins playing the other wing, then it's all a matter of just finding a couple of guys that rebound, and you got somebody good on the ball, and they're going. Chris Beard's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
There's enough of a sample size to realize that's going on, but I don't know who that guy is that they're targeting.
And it's hard to know in the transfer portal because he might have been decent over there and doo-doo over here or doo-doo over there and amazing over here.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, just because they're bad there doesn't mean they're not going to be great where you are because everything is so system dependent.
Yes.
And he might not be a fit on that one, but he might fit what you're doing like a glove. And I would not be in favor of myself like evaluating players because
it's hard.
There's so much variation between that.
Now, I know we're supposed to wrap. I think we're going to extend this section a little longer. We'll just shorten up one of our other sections because I know you want to get in on this too when it comes to college basketball.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about the men, but obviously we got to give our flowers to Coach Yo. Second round of March Madness, 24 wins. Now you lose a star in Cody McMahon, but in a good way because she goes in the first round of the WNBA draft. So where is this program right now for women's basketball?
Well, about done with the transfer portal.
Yeah,
Yo's been on a
killing
heater.
it.
My goodness. LSU starting point guard, check.
Yes.
2 guards from Tennessee, check. You know, you're grabbing a player from Florida, like Power 5 experience all over the place. They are basically done now. Sirathinu at the very end, kind of, I don't know if she got into the portal or she was planning on it one point.
Because there's a difference.
Yeah. I'll have to see exactly what she did, but this women's basketball team is in a position to take yet another step. Now, they lose Cody McMahon.
Yeah.
34 double-digit scoring games over the season. That's a hard thing to replace. But here's my thoughts on the women's team. In the fourth quarter, they had a problem going through scoring slumps.
Yeah.
They played defense so hard for 3 quarters that at the end of the game, their legs were gone.
Yep.
So you needed more people that can score the basketball than just Cody McMahon.
Yes.
Because if her shot stops going in, no shots are going in, essentially.
Yeah. People do not understand how hard you have to play in the SEC just to be on the court, right? Just even be there. And so I would say, to your point, first of all, Coach Yo was killing it at the WNBA draft, living her best life. Secondly,
so cool.
The people that she is bringing in are people, in my mind, and having watched a lot of women's college basketball this past season, are people that were not in the right fit where they were at before. And now she prides herself on being able to take players and develop them into pros. And I think that's what she's doing here. And I think they have a chance to take a huge step.
And I can't remember the girl's name, so I apologize, but it's the transfer that came in from Illinois State that averaged about 17 points a game. She's going to be a wing. She's going to be really good, and she might actually end up being the best pickup in the whole transfer portal class.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you look at that run that Ole Miss just had, was that about them meeting expectations, or do you feel like there was more left on the table, especially since it ended on a buzzer beater in round 2? We kind of probably thought they would go Sweet 16. Leaves a sour taste in your mouth where you're like, we still are a little bit higher that we can go.
Sweet 16 feels like the expectation now, right?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that's – it's weird to think of. It's like round of 32, that kind of felt like a little bit of a failure, and it was a great season, but that's one of the best compliments Coach O can get is that the fan base is not satisfied unless you hit that 16 number. And now the question is, how do you get to the round of 8? How do you get to the Final Four? That's the next step.
1 or 2 more wins improves your seed, makes the path a little different. That's the difference. All right, so I know we got to take a break. They've been yelling in our ear. It was time for us to take a break, so I will shut up now. But Steven, it's so good to see you. Is he staying?
No, I just got to ask him, how much better is it this in person than on Zoom?
This is amazing. Yeah. You guys have a wonderful setup, man. Zoom does not do this place justice.
Thank you.
I've heard that a lot about this right here, that Zoom doesn't do it justice. So I appreciate you,
All right.
making that solid, solid observation.
This guy.
Right there.
Steven, we appreciate you pulling up, my man. As always, you can catch Steven's great work on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Be sure to catch it all. Time for a quick break. We'll be back on the 24th floor. Welcome back to the 24th floor. And we got to do this right because Ruben is back.
Yep. And when I am back, things must be done correctly. I step away for a week, and then Memphis basketball decides to go crazy.
That's what I was going to say. Perfect time to bring you back because there's a lot to get into it with the Memphis Tigers right now. Let's start here. Aaron Bradshaw, 7'1", hits the portal. What was your take on that?
Not surprising at all. Not surprised because you've got new assistants, you got a GM. So what people aren't putting into place with this stuff is they think, well, you got to get new staff, you're going to get a new team, you might be an integral part to that. Yes, but his money.
That's always been the thing you've talked about.
His money is what the difference is going to be. Now they've brought in a GM who's going to analyze what each player is worth. So you might have come in at X amount of dollars, second highest paid player on the roster, I believe.
Yeah.
But my guess is they brought him in and said, if you want to stay, you got to take a pay cut.
And he was like, nah.
And he probably said,
but
I
don't think he'll get as good as what he has in Memphis because now you'll be talking about a guy who's on his third spot?
Yeah, it's his third.
Because he was at Ohio State. He was originally a Kentucky commit. He went to Ohio State, didn't work out there, and then came to Memphis.
Yeah, but
I mean, people are going to jump at him because he's 7'1".
He's 7'1". He's gonna get money from somebody.
He had a window where he was really effective, but I don't know what I would categorize his time at Memphis. What would you say? Would you say it's a disappointment?
I would say disappointing. You're 7'1". You averaged 8 points a game. You averaged 4 rebounds a game. 7'1". I can get 4 rebounds right now. Brother 7 foot tall, and you can't get but 4 rebounds. You played 20 minutes a game, and you got 4 boards.
Memphis fans be going through it with Jaren
Jackson. Get your butt on the block and grab a board, bro. So yes, it does not shock me at all that he's in the transfer portal. It may be that the style of play may be going to change for Memphis, and maybe that's why he wasn't going to be a good fit. But my guess is going to be that staff sat down, the GM sat down and said, here's how much we can afford to pay this dude if you want to keep him. And he may have said, let me go see if I can test free agency and make more money.
Let's talk about some other portal stock. Now, Memphis misses out on DJ Wagner. He's from Arkansas. He's a local kid.
Misses out. Why people keep saying misses out on him? I don't think you can say
because he was a local kid.
So, he's an SEC player who got run at Arkansas.
Yeah, but I mean, you would think because of what Penny is building with local guys that he could come join.
Nah, it's
and maybe he rocked with Penny, and then the connections. That's why I like because they got Curtis from LSU.
Yeah, but that's people put the emotion in it when you don't need to put the emotion in it, right? Like, so what his problem? If I'm DJ Wagner, what I'm thinking is, where can I go to A, make as much money as possible, and B, be in a place where I can, shine. Specifically shine potentially on a national stage. You don't think he
would be able to shine here?
On a national stage, it was the second part of that, where I can play somewhere where my games are going to be televised consistently. So the conference matters because of that. That's the benefit of if Memphis ever gets out of the American and gets to the Big 12 or something like that, is that the games get televised more. Instead of being on ESPN Plus or on the ESPN app.
Or ESPN2.
Yes.
I mean, ESPN2 is probably the ceiling of what you see Memphis basketball games.
Now you're on major prime time network television playing. And I think that's a factor when it comes to your ability for draft status and improving your stock and all that stuff.
So, I mean, we talked about DJ Wagner, but you also missed out on PJ Haggerty. I know that was a guy who a lot of Memphis fans wanted to come back. I wasn't one of those people. But there was also Rowan Brombaugh, who I talked about last week with Terry. That was a guy from Tulane who always
Did he already pick a place?
He's going to SMU, I believe. Yeah.
Same type of concept.
So what's your reaction to how this has played out, like losing out on guys?
I don't know. So I don't know that the term losing out is correct because none of those guys, if you want to say you might be losing out on somebody, it'd be somebody that you had on your roster that you were in the mix to keep. And I lost him to somebody else.
Not if you're a finalist and you're...
It's free agency, bro. Like, you're not losing out. You're just because I put my name in the hat and say, hey, are you interested? I'm not necessarily losing out. They may have never been a serious contender. Memphis may have never been a serious contender for some of these kids. And because of that, it's just a different situation to be able to say whether or not that actually would have happened. I think that Memphis has a new structure of how they got to do it. Part of that is they've got to get their GM is in place, and now there are parameters around how this has to work. And I think everybody has to take that and take stock into that when these GMs come in, they start grading players based on that board and start talking about how much money they can actually give them.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fiscal responsibility than it has been in the past.
So something I think that they are doing better now that they have a GM in place is getting better at filling those roster spots. They've got 8 roster spots filled right now. You've got guards like Julius Stedford, local guy. You got Cummings from Pittsburgh. He averaged about 12.5 points a game. You got Cello Jackson. Then on the wings, you got guys like Favors, who's a dead-eye shooter from Washington State. You got Ding. You got Parker Pounds. That was a big one, getting him from Briarcrest, one of the best shooters in the area. Some size with William Wharton, Fred Smith Jr. We talked about him last week. You got a few local guys in there. So when you look at that group, what do you actually like from what Penny has decided to kind of put together?
I love the fact that he got Fred Smith Jr.
Yeah. I wonder what your take was on that.
I think that's huge.
And getting Parker Pounds to come with him.
I think getting a marquee kid like Fred Smith Jr. sets the tone for what Penny is trying to build. I think people can look at that and say, okay, this kid could have gone any number of places, and he chose to stay home and help build.
And getting his best friend Cello Jackson with him.
Yeah, so I
won a state title.
I love that for Memphis. I think it also helps with the fan base.
Yeah.
I think it helps because Memphis loves to support Memphis.
You got 4 local guys you can build on.
I think Penny is actually ahead of what's about to start happening in the business anyway, because there's going to get caps and people are going to fiscally. Every college coach I talk to tells me this model is not sustainable. They are all working in the red. None of them are making money. So all of their athletic departments are working in the negative. So what we're doing right now is not fiscally sustainable. So there's going to eventually be markers and parameters and caps and all these things put in. So I think what Penny's doing is really smart. He's saying, let me get back to what basketball is. Let me go find these young guys who want to be here, who are passionate about this, and not just chasing a bag. And let's grow this thing. Let's build
a foundation.
Yeah, it's a strong foundation. Then if you get 4 local guys, excuse me, and 2 of them leave, you still got a core of your foundation.
So last thing I'll say, and then we'll close. What do you think is missing from this team? Like as he continues doing roster building, what do you look at and be like, okay, this is what's missing?
I mean, you probably do need another you need a rebounding, because you are losing, even though you did 4 a game. Some size helps, especially whenever you end up having to play other people with size. Even if you don't play with a big inside out like normally, if you're having to play somebody who does, you need that size for rebounding and defense. Because I always tell people, you can hang with them guard to guard in the first half. It's the rebounding in the second half. When you get tired, that's where the difference is usually made in the game. So that would say that'd be the only. Right now, he's got all the other pieces, and I think Memphis is going to be substantially better next year.
Yep, a lot to figure out, but a lot of time left for Penny Hardaway to shape this roster.
Yeah, so again, what I've seen so far has been good. What I've seen so far has been, and I, if it's me, I'm not worried about who they're missing out on the portal. I'm looking and saying, well, do you really want to waste that money again, or are you going to put that money somewhere else?
We will find out. This thing is far from finished. We'll be right back on the 24th floor with the best thing I saw. All right, we had to bring him back. The best thing we saw in bringing back news reporter extraordinaire, Mr. Ezekiel Telemaco. He missed out on Ruben last week, you know what I'm saying? Now Ruben's back, so what should we get your takes in again?
I'm not sure if that's missing out on anything.
Yeah, you're missing out on greatness, brother. That's what you're missing out on.
The best thing I saw was my lineup, my crispy line. In all seriousness, though, the best thing that I saw was the unction, as in LeBron James, Kevin Durant. I mean, look at these guys still hooping. LeBron is 41. Kevin Durant is 37 years old, and these guys are still giving us pure cinema when it comes to basketball. I mean, look at this layup by LeBron James right here.
Did you just say, look at this layup by LeBron James?
Is that what you did?
The best thing you listen. Hold on. The best thing you saw was a layup by LeBron James.
The best thing that I saw was the reverse slam, looking like he was, Miami Heat LeBron James. But it's just crazy. I mean, these guys are dropping. Again, LeBron dropped 28 points, KD 23, which is. It seems low for him, but that's Kevin Durant. He's 37 years old. So it's like, what can you expect from these players at this age? It's just kind of crazy that LeBron is still giving us this type of performance. I didn't expect for the Lakers to even be up 2-0.
If you're a Houston, and Ruben can weigh in on this as being a Houston guy, you got to be agitated. Because why are you – it's 2-0. The Lakers don't have Luka, don't have Reeves. LeBron is 42. And you still can't beat them?
Well, you missed
down 2-0.
Yeah, so you missed.
Houston's not missing anybody.
You missed Kevin initially.
Okay.
And then you get him back.
Yeah, you still lose.
And then you still lose. That's got to be extremely frustrating. I know when I was actually in Houston last week for the first playoff game, and the establishment I was in was less than pleased about the score. I will say, towards your best thing I saw, and I think you have an NBA one as well.
We all have NBA.
Oh yeah.
Spoiler alert.
You always say how much I don't like the NBA. This is when I like the NBA.
I was just about
They're
to
actually
say,
playing basketball now.
They're locking in.
Yes, they're playing defense. They're passing the ball. They're moving without the ball. They're doing all the things that I love about basketball during playoff basketball.
That Nuggets T-Wolves was just a defensive clinic at
Yeah.
the end. Now, that's not my best thing, and I don't think that's his best thing,
Nope.
but I was like, for Ruben, who is a basketball purist,
I am.
and that's always his thing about the NBA, I would think even he would like the basketball that is being played between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets.
I do. I mean, when I said I don't enjoy the NBA, I don't enjoy the beginning of an NBA season because nobody's playing hard. It's not until after All-Star break, and now it's changed so much that it used to be after All-Star break, the teams that were on the cusp would make a push. But now the teams that are on the cusp and don't know if they can make it, they just tank.
Which you missed his whole tanking thing last week.
So that's changed. The NBA has changed the dynamic there where it used to be, okay, playoff, All-Star weekend would happen, and then you'd see, okay, these 3 or 4 teams are going to make a push to try to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then these teams that are already in the playoffs are going to try to get to the home court advantage. You know, there are all these incentives there. And now it's like, okay, well, if you're not in the playoff mix right there, then you're just tanking so you can get a better lottery.
It's unfortunate. The last time we saw that actually was with the 2022 Boston Celtics, where they were literally in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference, and they just shot up. And then it got to the point with Ime Udoka, that's your guy, right, in Houston, that we made the finals. We lost to Golden State, but when it comes to teams tanking, like you just mentioned, I think we're just seeing that more recently with teams just saying, hey, like, especially with the draft class like what we have this year, like we might as well just tank and prepare. We're seeing it with the Memphis Grizzlies right now.
Well, we saw it. It's over now. But
well, we didn't hit on it. I mean, on the draft class, a lot of guys are getting cold feet and coming back. You got the Mullins kid from UConn, he's coming back. You got Tyler Tanner from Vanderbilt that's coming back. Somebody else that said that they were coming. Thomas Hall from Florida. It's one more person. I can't
NIL is changing the game for sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute. These are guys who I had first-round grades on lottery picks, and they come. Baby Ant, but I don't want to pronounce his name, from Baylor. He's coming back.
Some of that comes because of the grade they're getting.
But still, you'll be a first-round pick, like lottery.
Yeah, but you get locked into that. So for some of these guys, to your point, the NIL money in this as an NBA prospect coming back to college for one more year, your bag is going to be huge, right? Your bag is huge, and you're the man, right? And so, do I do that, or do I go to the NBA where I may not get as big of a bag in my rookie contract, and I may not even get to play much.
You're going to be in a two-way contract, you know.
Oh, no, they ain't going to be
not,
a two-way.
Not in the first round, but still, the NBA still has, there are restrictions on the money that people don't even realize, and that money goes away a lot faster than you think.
Yeah.
So if I'm a college kid, especially if I'm a college kid in a state with no state income tax, brother, I'm staying.
I get it. Ruben, you want to move on to your best thing?
Yes,
it's kind of out of left field.
Please watch this in its entirety. Bam!
I can't laugh at this, man. The dude was knocked out cold like he got hit with a right hook.
He didn't get knocked out. He just the way he's like Bambi, bro. The way he falls,
just crazy.
Tamari, when I saw it, I was like, "There's no way a grown man fell like that. Not a professional athlete." Look at him. He's fine. He got up. He's in concussion
man,
protocol.
what you mean he got up?
Listen, I was in Houston last weekend coaching basketball. One of my players scorpioned it too. Face on the ground and everything. Watch. Just. Where's your body control?
That's like what you see watching the Miami Dolphins with Tua play.
I was about to say, Zeke, I know you have a football reference for this.
You're a grown man. Your hands hit the ground first, and you don't protect your head.
Well, I mean, it was kind of like bang, bang, no pun intended. You know? But I think my takeaway not only was Wemby getting hurt, but the fact that the Blazers went on and beat them.
Yes.
Scoot Henderson with 31 points.
Exactly. I always believed in Scoot, by the way. I always had my Scoot Henderson stocks. So I kept him, and he delivered 31 points. The Blazers won one going back to Portland. Did anybody think this was going to happen?
Well, not with Wemby out. It's going to make a total difference. I mean, it totally changes the game.
Are we not? Do we think the Blazers get the upset?
He's in concussion protocol now.
Now, it's okay. Now, let's talk about it. Concussion protocol, which means the earliest he can come back if they do this right is Game 5. The latest, I mean, even out of that window, because they said 7 to 10 days, the latest, Game 7. Maybe he doesn't play at all, but with Wemby, I think he will play. Do the Spurs have enough to beat Portland?
The whole
without
offense and
Wemby?
defense revolves around Wemby.
Not without Wemby.
So.
Well, I mean, they got other guys. They got De'Aaron Fox, who was an NBA All-Star. They got Steph Castle.
But when you've been spending your whole season playing through one guy as much as they do, not just offensively, but defensively, like you mentioned, and then you have to switch that up in the playoffs, that's tough.
You lost a unanimous, defensive player of the year and, arguably one of the front runners for MVP in one game. That team is completely different without him on the court.
Now, I didn't think the Spurs would go deep anyway. I thought the Spurs would get by Portland, but I told Zeke off air, even if the Spurs win this series, they're not beating the winner.
I thought that they would,
Minnesota and
make
Denver.
it out the West if everything goes right.
Oh, you did say that. You did say that last
So
week.
that Minnesota-Denver matchup is that one of those two, it's way too tough. That's too physical.
Whoever wins that is going to beat San Antonio.
Yeah, like San Antonio's not going to be able to just match the physicality and the intensity because those teams they definitely play real basketball right now.
Yes, the most exciting series. And I wish we had our guy Kevin McNamara on because he's a T-Wolves fan. Even though he tries to act like he's a Grizzlies fan on TV, I know about you, Kev. Let's move on to the best thing I saw, talking about road team stealing one. This is my guy, CJ McCollum, lighting the New York Knicks up in Game 2. I told you, Zeke. I told you we was going to get one to New York. CJ taking on the villain role. The fans chanting F Trae Young. Trae Young ain't even on the team no more. Afterwards, they were chanting F CJ's. Come here, OG Anunoby. I mean, he scared me at the end, missing them free throws. But you know what I'm saying? We still getting it done. Look at Jalen Johnson. That should have been the punctuation on the game. But, of course, CJ missed them free throws. That's going to come up on this clip. But, fellas, the Hawks split the series in New York. It is 1-1 going back to the A. We ain't losing in the A.
It's like one of those, you had like one of those spheres, right, where you saw the future when it came to it. He literally told me.
I watch my team. See, people be trying to take it like I'm just a biased fan because I'm a ride or die Hawks fan. I watch this team. I told you from the jump, I wanted New York over Cleveland because we match up better with them. And Ruben, you can relate to this about matchups, coaching, stuff like that. The Knicks, we match up better with them because they start Cat at the 5, which means that we can play smaller. We can have Onyeka guard him, and then they go with Bridges, Anunoby, Hart, and Brunson. We have the guys that can match up better with them. Now, from a basketball standpoint, if New York would have kept the lineup that had Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson,
big all the way across.
were they big all the way across, they would have gave us some problems. And that's what they were giving us problems with in Game 1 and a little bit in this game. But Mike Brown went away from that.
He'll go back.
I don't know why.
He'll go back.
And as soon as he did it, the Hawks went on a run. And I was like, okay, we got it.
You saw the shoes, right? No? For Mitchell Robinson, the standing on business.
Oh, man.
So he'll go back to the big lineup because in the NBA, you got to think about it. The way that they think about that stuff is they think about it in sections, right? So you'd love to win 2 at home, right?
Yeah.
But you know that all you really have to do is steal 1.
Yeah.
All you got to do is steal 1. So now that's the Knicks mentality going to Atlanta. They're not thinking we got to win 2 games. They're just saying we got to steal a game. And so he'll go back big to steal a game.
He'll have to.
He will because he doesn't have to win both games. He just got to steal a game.
But you know how hard it is to win in Atlanta in the postseason?
Who's ever said that?
I mean,
That's the first time I think I've ever heard that in my life.
you should know about when we played y'all in the playoffs with the Celtics and the Hawks.
Fair enough. All I think of is that 60.
Remember those years, the year y'all won the championship? Well, not the one with
This
Paul
is what
Pearson,
they
Tough
do.
Ray Allen,
matchup. It's like Pokemon,
This is
right?
what
I
they
always tell them
do
that.
in the newsroom.
With Paul Pearson, Ray Allen, y'all
hours.
didn't win a game in Atlanta with that.
Okay, you got that on me, but in
about
general.
old
in 2008.
stuff on teams that neither of them played on. They just
fair enough.
God.
None of us played on any of these teams.
for hours they'll do this. I'm just giving you
I think it's
heads up.
called being a fan.
For hours.
See, Ruben, he likes to be all political, and he doesn't want to draw his line in the sand on which team he rocks. He just likes talking trash. I can't say what I really want to say. You know what I'm saying? So, he just can easily sit over there and talk trash, be like, yeah, y'all didn't win. I'm like, but you don't have a team.
I'm always winning. That's how it works. I always win. So who do you have? You've got Atlanta winning it all? I know we got to go.
No, I think I got the Hawks beating the Knicks, but I'm not saying we're going to win
Who
it
you
all.
got winning it all?
Winning it all right now?
I
got to go with OKC, man. I can't.
I was going to say OKC's got my
can't.
vote right now. So
I said
somebody's got to beat them to prove to
I
me
got
they can be
OKC
beat.
and Cleveland in the finals. OKC
He missed
over
my
Cleveland.
segment from last week where I said I think OKC is just like the Toronto Raptors of 2019, where they got
One
really
and
lucky
done.
that Halliburton got hurt in that Game 7
See,
when he
he's
ruptured his
tripping.
Achilles.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Bro, you are
I'm
underestimating
not. No,
Jared
I'd have
McCain.
the Nuggets or the Timberwolves over OKC any day of the week.
T-Wolves need more point guard help for the
But
OKC.
I think OKC in terms of SGA, in terms of like they have a really solid roster, 1 through 8, 1 through 10. You could make that argument, but I just think that a lot of people put too much stock into that championship that they won in 2025, not considering that Tyrese Halliburton got hurt.
I'm going to give you one little quote. What's the dude who was the GM for the Bulls when during the Jordan era?
Jerry Cross.
Yes, Jerry Krause said, players don't win championships, organizations do.
Sure.
And I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are probably one of the premier organizations in the NBA right now from top to bottom and how they do business.
Sure, my alma mater, Sam Presti, he runs that organization from the top down. But again, in terms of winning and culture, they only have one. They don't have,
man,
they
it
don't
might
have,
be a dynasty.
They don't have 10. They don't have 18 like the Boston
Gotta
Celtics.
start
I'll tell you
somewhere.
that.
Boston. All right. So do we need? Is it time to take a break? Or we're in this show?
No,
What are
we got to
doing?
end this show. That'll do it for today's episode of the 24th Floor. Shout out to everyone who made today's show possible. We're talking about Leanna Davis, Andrew Pollard, Brooklyn High for their work behind the scenes, putting the show together. Big shout out to NASCAR legend Kyle Petty and our guy Stephen Willis for coming on the show. And of course, our guy Ezekiel Telemaco is going to be a norm on Best Thing I Saw.
All right, so extra shout out to Stephen for coming in. It was great to see him in person, and we did get a bucket list of Kyle Petty, being able to talk to him as well. Everybody have an absolutely great day. Remember, neither of them are ever going to win. If you need advice, just come to me.
Please, I'm not even going to say what he wants me to say.